Hey, people, what's happening? It's time for some more Cosmonarchy. We're going to be taking a look at a couple of Protoss versus Protoss matches. Let's see how those mirrors are doing. It's actually the first time I've seen PvP in quite a while, so I am interested in seeing where this matchup is at. Because we got some grinders here. We got TheNightFox as what I'm guessing is Ultramarine Protoss in the top left here, and Doglived in the bottom left of Paradise, a port of Dante's Peaks by Biddy Bee. Check it out. Doglived, of course, is still rocking the Maya Blue, I believe. Yep, there it is. Seems to be his favorite. And, yeah, that's another thing, is that they are part of Clan Oops. Crankendow helped to return, and he's part of Clan Oops. And, of course, Doglived and TheNightFox, they are rocking and rolling in that clan as well. So the resurrection of Clan Oops is live. Aud64, a part of that clan as well. So reigning champion of Acropolis #2. He's been trying to get some games in. Hopefully I can do some more casts of him. Get the champ on the phone, on the line. Now, we are going to see some gateways here. Going to be a little bit before we get into the nuts and bolts of whatever this matchup is looking like. And we do have a pair of games for today. I just figured I'd jump straight into the game, but I'd also let you guys know that you can, of course, support project development here for Cosmonarchy by jumping into that coffee page. It's linked in the description. It's on your screen in the bottom right there, Pernigo and Week 7 at co-fi.com. So one of the things that I have been trying to do overall is get a little bit more going on when it comes to that, and so we are going to continue rewarding people with new maps if they so desire when they are donating to certain levels. Of course, you also get access to some private dev streams where I'm working on a lot of single-player content these days, either in recording or live formats. Those dev sessions are provided, so you guys can check that out. And I've been doing a lot of podcast-style content, just walking around recording stuff like some kind of weird goober. So if you want to hear me talking shit while walking around and telling you guys how I've been getting work done and doing all these other things, you can go ahead and do that at your leisure, starting at $3 a month. With all that said, we do have some interesting developments already. So Doglived is opting for double lattice after his gateway, but both players have gone gateway into lattice. So this seems to already be a bit of a shift from what I saw. I am liking the Hierophant. It's not there for Doglived, but TheNightFox has been rocking it. Looks like he'll drop a Grand Library as his third production structure. So we're already going up to 3 production facilities in the early stages of the game. No player interested in expanding just yet, not immediately, not so fast. In fact, neither player even opting to scout. Now, I do know that Doglived likes his fast embassy, and so in that kind of situation, maybe you just think he's going to go for the artisans early on, and that's how he's going to get his economic advantage. But we'll see. The Vassal is out for TheNightFox. He's going to go ahead and see what he can do as far as scouting things around. And look at this. Doglived is just going to go ahead and march boldly across the map with his 3 band of merry men, the 3 musketeers over there. And Idol will be here to double tap the Vassal out when it does come. This force isn't really going to be able to breach the ramp. I know the cliff advantage was nerfed semi-recently where you got, +1 weapon range instead of +2, but this is still going to be more than enough to deal with that. In fact, if the TheNightFox had been a little bit faster to react there, he might have been able to catch some of these units. As of right now, though, the Hierophant is out there for Doglived. Honestly, though, this is still looking pretty deadly here for TheNightFox's forces to just charge in. I'm surprised that they end up trading the Hierophants there. I honestly thought it would be a little bit more one note, but despite it, it looks like it'll actually be a fairly even trade. The Simulacrum are going to actually start splitting up. Nice there, body blocking with his Draken, and the Idol has that extra little oomph to it because it does have those projectiles that impact on sight. So you can block them with the Draken to save your Sims there. I do like TheNightFox's style. I like his moves there. He's got his couple units coming out. Now he's starting to, trickle in some Amaranths as well. And those bad boys take a long time to bring down. Now the Nexus is coming. Doglived going for that macro. He does have a little bit still alive over here, but I don't know. I'm not liking his position. I feel like maybe you want to set down your Pylon and your Warden, or maybe even Matrix for the sustain before you put your Nexus down, just so that you have that little bit of insurance. Because you can go for fast expo here, or faster expo than your opponent, but you definitely want that little bit of, consolidated defense. But, he's had a lot of Striders. Okay, maybe he can, focus down individual targets. The Amaranths are very meaty boys when it comes to sustain, but he's got 3 Golems. So, in theory, he should be okay here. This is just going to be a tight one. Where does his focus fire go? They snipe down the idol immediately, and look, it's taking them forever to actually bring that Amaranth down. The burst damage not really there. They do finally break it down, but you know what? Golems deal splash damage. Now you're talking about these Sims are going to start to split around, and there's the attack speed steroid from that Hierophant. It is brought down eventually. We got some Zealots coming out. The Golems doing their best to shield each other, and as glacial as the pace of this fight actually is, it's pretty clear that the TheNightFox has it. So that was a quick 5-minute game showing you the power of the simulacrum within PvP. Let's get into that second game. Hope for something a little bit meatier. All right, here we are. The TheNightFox is the... What is this? Is this regular orange or is this vivid orange? I'll say regular orange. He is the regular orange Protoss in the bottom left. There it is. And Doglived, the Maya blue Protoss in the top left. So same spawns, they've just swapped positions as courteous gentlemen. And it looks like they will be moving on. These were played back to back, I was told. I did not catch whatever TheNightFox just said there. I think it had TBH in it at some point, so that's pretty good. Classic TBH. Hope that you guys are enjoying Cosmonarchy. We did just push some exciting updates. We have I worked with Veek7 to fix up the uprising issue where you would spawn uprising neutral hostile creep camp basically. You'd spawn the spawner for those on islands, and they make ground units, and the ground units would just sit there like, I can't do anything. And then, you know, the game would lag because they just keep spawning stuff that never gets anywhere. So that was a nice fix, and I'm glad that we were able to get that rolling and wrangled. Something that I am looking forward to doing is just continuing to improve things. We are seeing that some more units are coming in there. Oh, I redid the Ecclesiast unit responses recently. You can check that out. Oh, and another thing. I know that the TheNightFox likes his Zinwaldite Brown or Coyote Brown. I think it is Coyote Brown for the TheNightFox. He can do that as Protoss now. We did unblock the brown tints for Protoss and the blue tints for Zerg. So if you were ever trying to use color preferences, I unblocked those for the preferences only. You can't automatically roll them, but if you prefer them, that will override our sort of flavor ideas. Because one of the ideas that we had was basically that like Protoss would wear brighter colors in general, and that's why the brown colors are out. Maybe also the dark achromatics should be gotten rid of as well for them, thinking about it by default. But then you also think about things like, for Zerg, I didn't really think that blue or the bright greens or anything like that really fit Zerg too well. And so like my thought process was I wouldn't want the players or the AI or whatever to randomly roll those for like sort of subtle flavor, almost lore reasons, right? It was a very minor point, but it was also interfering with color preferences. So I have rectified that. Shout out to Wolfma, a more casual user of Cosmonarchy who first reported that issue, and then Triple Dash, who is now like a sun emoticon or something. I don't know what he is. Grass Eater is what I'm going to call him, and so he's been hanging out there, and shout out to him as well for bringing the issue to my attention again. The TheNightFox is going triple gate Legionnaire and is going to go ahead and expand. So he's basically taking the L when it comes to those early game military fights. He can't really do too much active pressure on the map versus somebody who's going the gate lattice or double gate or anything like that. He has a worse army, but he can reinforce, and it's cheap, and he gets his Nexus up nice and early. Counterpoint, Doglived going for the embassy, grabbing that artisan nice and early. He will have that economic pull. I'm looking forward to seeing which one of the players' approaches are actually going to be superior here. I do think that this Legionnaire-focused brawly style could end up being pretty vulnerable to early game sort of aggro if somebody went fast military to everybody. But this has to be possible to break, otherwise it would just be the default because everybody would go Nexus first, right? But nonetheless, that with the Hierophant, yeah, this is a dead Drakadon. Drakadidn't, it's out. The other ones are going to fan back out into the defensive stance. This one should actually get caught as well, though. I don't think that Doglived will be in too much trouble, but I do think that the Legionnaires, with a little bit of micro, might actually be able to hit those guys. Doesn't look like it, though. I was just a little bit off on the speed prediction there. And now thinking about maybe charging forward. There's 5 Drakadons here, though. You don't really want to be engaging that. Again, a little known aspect of... What the hell? Was there a canceled pylon? Oh, no, never mind. I couldn't see the pylon because of the Drakadons. I was like, what the hell? Where is he getting the power from? One thing that's a little bit lesser known detail of Legionnaires, when they teleport, if there's a projectile flying at them, that projectile misses. So 100%, just like completely 0 damage. So that can really screw up Vultures, Drakadons, Trying to think if there's anything that from Zerg that does that early on, but the Quasilisk and Hydralisk are both hit scan. Maybe the Izira Core, you'd say that that might confuse them, but Izira Cores are melee, so they're less likely to have that teleport happen, right? Usually happens with like longer range units. And so, yeah, definitely something that can sort of body you a little bit there if you're up against them with Dracodins or Vultures in the PvT matchup. So it's going to be a double Stargate pull afterwards, you know, just getting the resources out of the artisans there, mining from afar. You can see here that the artisans do not need to return, and he's already starting to use that, harvesting from over here. It looks like Hamster left for lag reasons or something else. Do we have anybody else? No, it looks like Hamster is just the only homie there. Either way, though, one of the things that I think is going to really change how people do map design, even considering their geyser placements, is like the fact that advanced workers are being used to distance mine a lot more. Artisans are obviously one piece of the puzzle, but Aeud won Acropolis #2 in large part due to the fact that he was able to leverage Taloses. I don't think he did it too much in the finals from memory, but what really helped him out was the fact that, like, that's how he survived the series versus Hit 'em Up. That's how he survived the second series versus Hamster. You know, he got an advantage in some of those series. He got as far into the tournament as he did using Taloses to great effect. And so that is something that I think people are going to start, you know, tracking when they're making their maps, as the meta is indeed evolving. Nonetheless, the TheNightFox does have a pretty scary ground contingent here, looking up to breach the 20 military mark. He's got double Matrix in the main base. Judging by this placement, I'm wondering what exactly the TheNightFox is worried about, because as we can see, you know, the range is pretty respectable for the Matrix, but it doesn't quite protect like the Ridge Miners or anything of the sort from, you know, Gladius, right? So maybe Gladius is what he's expecting. Either way, a third and fourth gateway are on the way for our Doglived Protoss here. He still has no expansion, but he's been tunneling in on that extra Vespene. That Legionnaire looks like maybe it was going to scout that out. Witness moving to the bottom right. Remember that while, you know, Doglived knows that his opponent had a military force in the bottom left area, he doesn't 100% confirm that that's where he spawned. That's just where you would expect him to be, because why else would his army be all the way over there? So as a result, I actually don't know why the Witness is all the way in the bottom right, but, you know, he's just going to confirm no hidden bases have been taken. Not a bad move. Stargate at the natural here. The Witness will undoubtedly see what's going on. It's moving to the top right instead. Is he expecting that the TheNightFox also went Artisan? That's what I want to know. Some Atreus is coming out for him. Meanwhile, Second Grand Library and a Stargate, as we mentioned, being made for our Orange Toss. It's kind of interesting to see the differences in the composition. The Gladius is pretty powerful. On pre-release, the Gladius did get a speed reduction. It's at 5 speed now, or right now in this patch, but on the current modern patch, it's like 4.35, I think, something like that. So it's a good, decent cut, you know, considerable cut. As the third base is coming down for the TheNightFox, he definitely has the eco advantage here. 10 workers and a second base versus what Doglived has. He's thinking about taking his natural now. And he's also thinking about moving ahead. Remember, he does have 4 Gladiuses, so they are going to help make short work of the Legionnaires, who are not actively using the teleport, so they're not really going to be able to benefit too much from dodging projectiles like the Gladiuses. Zealots are going to get cleaned up. With the front line gone, it looks like they basically traded front lines, but I still would be a bit more scared of Doglived's position. The Atreuses are out as well. Hierophant's trying to tag individual Gladiuses there. Actually, they were attacking separate targets, which isn't too terrible. Where are the DPSs? Yeah, we need a front line for the TheNightFox. He needs to be able to get on top of the Striders and also dissuade the Gladiuses from targeting the back line there. Looks like one of them will indeed be bopped. And the wall over here is definitely going to prevent any other damage. Actually, Doglived is kind of losing track of some of his army there, going after that third base when he definitely doesn't really have the ability to contest it now. And yeah, TheNightFox looks like he's got enough Striders to muscle this through, at least in theory. With the reinforcements, it might change the calculus a little bit, but 4 Striders at a time for Doglived. We do have a couple of land effects coming for the TheNightFox. We'll see what he can actually make use of when it comes to that. First one is already out. Second one just popped as well. And that is going to be a dead Gladius there. Getting right on top of the army just to slow them down a little bit, allowing the Atreuses to make, close the distance a little bit, get their DPS leveraged. Now they're going to fall back. And looks like that Nexus will indeed be brought down. Kind of interesting. I feel like if some Amaranths had been, invested in here, that might have helped versus the Gladius wouldn't necessarily have the DPS to kill them too hard. And, the land effects are starting to stack up now. They will definitely help versus what the Gladius are doing. There's 3 of them and 3 Gladiuses. So, yeah, the land effects are definitely going to start to attain a death count versus the air. Only now is Doglived's Nexus coming down for his natural, by the way. So, he's absolutely kind of on a clock here. It does feel like Doglived is... He's kind of struggling. Now, that being said, it looks like the land effects did not finish the job onto the Gladius. And once again, the army is wiped. We have 2 land effects left and a small assortment of those Striders. Will Doglived break it? Good disruption field. Absolutely money disruption field right now. And look at that. Doglived needs to get out of dodge there. There we go. He's going to fall on back. Maybe see if he can focus down some individual targets. He will take one of the Atriuses with him. A rallied land effect almost bites the dust. And now here come the Matrixes. There goes the last Gladius that Doglived had. There's the disruption field yet again. Yeah, I think Doglived, he needed to respond a lot faster to that threat of the disruption field. I wonder if he's actually played against that. I know he's a relatively newer player, but you know, he might not have actually been aware of how precisely that worked. So there we go. They're going to finally fall. More Striders have arrived. Remember that the NightFox has the economic advantage in this position. A lot of minerals, though he hasn't really spent that money down too much. And Doglived is continuing to try to dive forward, but the land effect reinvestment has just been so good here for our defending orange Protoss. All right, that looks like it's going to be enough. The land effects have given their lives for the cause, and a scribe is moving up to 12 o'clock to take that as a third base. We still have almost no workers there at the natural. Doglived needs to get back into scribe production. Both of our players could benefit from doing that, but of course, no third base up and running just yet for the NightFox, so he might not worry too much about it. My fucking units. I wonder what he's talking about. Oh, I see. He's... Yeah, he might need to pop this Matrix, or maybe both of them, which would be pretty bad. I have noticed that Protoss seem to struggle the most with SimCity. Not 100% sure what you can realistically do about that. I know pylons obviously only power so much, and we can't quite expand their reach in this engine without quite a bit of reverse engineering that still has yet to be done. Now, Doglived, he's got a lot of work ahead of him to crack this position, and the land effects are continuing to disrupt things. As they fly over the Strider pile, they are going to be sitting ducks. The Gladiuses are stopping. Oh, yeah. That's another little neat mechanic. So the Gladiuses are using the units that they are fighting to shoot the weaponry. And the land effects disable all weaponry. So when you're fighting, firing on something that's disabled by a land effect, it short circuits the Gladius burst. Land effects being more useful versus Gladius than you might have initially expected. So definitely one of those like small... You could think of that as like a niche interaction. It really depends on how you break it down, right? Because like our code just assumes, yeah, fire the weapon if you can, because you're firing a weapon, and so yeah, the unit's disabled; it can't fire the weapon. That's sort of just how we the assumption baked into the code, right? So now we've got a lot of superior Striders for the NightFox. He has something like 8 Atriuses with more on the way. There's plenty of Striders coming out for Doglived. He's adding double Argosy. Could definitely throw down a Crucible at some point to empower that production. And I would love to see him take a 4th base pretty soon, as his 3rd is about halfway complete. And it looks like he can soon afford it. That being said, the NightFox has a lot of money. He's going to go ahead and double expand, taking a 3rd and a 4th base. So it looks like both of our Protoss players are going to be switching into a more macro-oriented gear, as they have held the initial attack. We'll have to see what happens between, now and whenever we do our next big tourney, because in my opinion, it's really nice if the mirror matches are really cool and varied. And so I do like the idea of the matchups being, paid a little bit more attention to. That's why I don't shy away from showcasing the mirrors. ZVZ, PvP, TvT. It's been a while since we have had a PvP. I haven't seen one in a decent amount of time, so I figured that's the whole reason why we go into this. Now, I'm starting to see Panoptises, and that means that we are going to look for that single target fire, try to focus down those land effects before they can do too much. And for land effect count, we are down to 4, with Gladius is being switched into by the NightFox. He's actually making a couple extra land effects now. And it's going to be Solarions. Very interesting stuff here. He's basically used Artisans on this base while he saturates his 3rd. I like the idea from Doglived. We'll see if he can make it happen here. I know that Doglived is, by the way, a member of the Nightmares of Mengsk. So it's cool to see some NOM, NOM, as I usually refer to it as. But NOM... what would you say, representation amidst Cosmonarchy. Very, very neat. Now, the couple of these Panoptises looks like they're going to end up going in on a scouting and harassment mission. This little area is definitely going to be attempted to be taken by the NightFox. He's trying to charge the spoke. He doesn't want to allow his opponent to clump up all the Gladiuses, and you can see how far and how fast those poor land effects can be brought down, but it really depends on if you have any Striders to back things up. Right now, the Panoptises are starting to heckle the worker count back here. That's the witness that was made way earlier, was spying on that position the whole time, but I think the NightFox has attacked at just the perfect amount of time to short-circuit the plan that Doglived had. Now, he does have a couple Solarions finishing up, and that could definitely change things as a storm of Zealots is screaming in onto this back line of Striders, but it still won't necessarily be enough. All of the Artisans going to get wiped clean from that third base position, and look at this, the Panoptis still wreaking havoc. It looks like one of them fell at some point, but it's still going to continue to do a little bit of damage. Trying to clear that Amaranth. We've got a couple of Solarians in the back over here. They're going to snipe down the rest of the air. Does Doglived have what it takes to hold the Strider advance? It really feels like he needs something with more dedicated damage. Epigraphs and Pyrians, ideally something like Architects or even a Cantors would be great. He's got a couple of units coming in for a flank, as 12 o'clock is still operational, but the Nexus of the Natural is going to fall, and it looks like, even though he shattered the eco of the NightFox a little bit there's enough of a bank that there's not going to be any worries whatsoever. He still has 3 mining bases. He didn't evacuate all the workers into his natural, but that's okay. He's got a humongous ground army, and I do think that Doglived has been routed. But that being said, I guess if you get enough Solarians up and running, that could be a big switch. We're going to have 4, and they do spawn with all of their stewards, unlike the carrier in Starcraft 1 doesn't spawn with any interceptors. So let's see what ends up happening here as the stewards are being shot down by a considerable margin. We are going to see individual targets be picked off here, but you do have to wonder how long can those stewards end up surviving amidst all of these units? And Ecclesias goes down. That's just feels like it's just gonna speed things up here for the NightFox as he charges a bit further forward to all the Striders that Doglived has. I say all of them, there were only 4, and those 2 are going to be routed. A Matrix and a bunch of static defense are warping in at 12 o'clock. That's gonna slow things down. We don't have these Argosies thrumming anymore because of the damage dealt to the resources, and so there's no harvesting really happening left for Doglived. He's gonna pull all of the workers for a brave last stand. The Matrix is trying to heal the shields of these targets for as long as they can do. It looks like that will most likely rout most of the Striders, and they will end up evacuating, dealing a decent amount of damage to the economy yet again, but it doesn't look like the NightFox will be able to finish the job. We're at 4 Solarians. We need to see if Doglived can mass up a few extras. He definitely wants to reestablish his Nexus at the Natural. He's already doing so, but he did not do that much counter damage on the eco, right? The NightFox is nearing 100 workers, and he's got a pretty scary ground force still. So Doglived can't really afford to just leave the base. He definitely needs to think about how to hold this force. He can't really do much counter damage. Maybe he can pinch off a couple Zealots and pick these unprotected bases, but that would pretty much be the only thing that he can do at this point in terms of what resources he has access to. Another Nexus is, of course, warping in for him at the Natural, trying to retake that base, and he is making a single extra Solarian. So he's still in the game, but it does feel like he's hanging on by a thread, and it also feels to me that the NightFox is in a very commanding position here. Ever since, he stopped the harassment from the Panoptises, it seems like he's more than fine. So this might be our valiant final stand. Panoptises have arrived to try to snipe down stewards and Solarians alike. They are pretty good versus that, especially if you pair them with some Barghest for Armor Pen. Looks to me like this is going to be much too overwhelming. Doglived is out. Maybe he GG'd over voice. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but that is that. Okay, the NightFox taking him in 2 games. I forget what happened in our first, I think, was it PVZ versus Arbuz that Doglived was in? It might have been 1-1 or something like that. Either way, Doglived has been taking his licks. He's been learning the game. We do have a couple of fresh faces and new people every now and then, and I say, welcome to Cosmonarchy. We are happy to have you. Some cool and fun games. I'm looking forward to seeing where that matchup develops. Definitely could see, higher worker counts. I know Neblem's writing that down in his big book as well. So join us for Cosmonarchy. You can access our Discord server. You can donate to project development. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and watch more content soon. So I'll see you then. GG.